Yeah, greetings. It's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Yeah, I want to talk today a little bit about the ongoing saga of transgender inmates in prison. If you look at the news today on the BBC site, they'll show you that there's demonstrations outside the Scottish Parliament, which is held at a place called Holyrood. And the demonstrators are demanding safety for women, because they're saying that basically sending convicted male rapists, male as men, who identify as women, who have suddenly decided to dress up as women, and sending them into female prisons. Was it Cornston Vale in Scotland? That's the only female prison in Scotland. Saying that this is endangering females, which obviously means if it's a man that's put into the prison and he's already got convictions for raping women, it would take a major swing the other way to actually get him into the psychological desire to be with men. I mean, I assume that that's what the transgender is. I don't know myself. I've not tried it. If I started trying my wife's clothes on, I think she'd give me a clip round the ear. Not that I would try it anyway. It's never really appealed to me. I mean, I have encountered people who have decided that they're going to change their personal orientation, but then they become actively in the what's known as the gay community, and if that's what they want, I mean, that's it. I mean, I see that the Church of England has today decided that they're going to allow their priests to bless same-sex marriages, not to conduct same-sex marriages, because they don't exactly gone that far, but they will allow them to conduct blessings of same-sex marriages. Well, I personally think that's a real step in the right direction. I mean, we don't have to go back too far in time when Church of England priests and Roman Catholic priests were blessing tanks and military weapons. And what were these military weapons? They weren't being used as part of any love-making ritual, were they? They were being used to blow people to smithereens. So if the priests can bless tanks, machine guns, bombs, aircraft, naval warships, if they can do all that, then surely they can bless two people who basically want to live life peacefully in a loving relationship. I wouldn't think that would need too much consideration before they decided it was the right thing to do. Or perhaps they just prefer blessing weapons of mass destruction. I mean, who knows what next, yeah? We've got a nuclear bomb here. We give a nuclear bomb, eh? We need a bishop for that. Bishop, who are we going to have? Well, get Westminster and be on this, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I bless you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. You will explode and kill 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 people, all in the name of the Almighty. Get out of here. And then they can't, at the same time, bless the loving union of two individuals. Disgraceful. Anyway, basically, that's what's been happening. There's been demonstrations at Holyrood in Scotland, outside the Scottish Parliament, against Nicola Stungun, telling her they're saying, get your head out of the clouds. This is not something that you can be messing with. You can't put female inmates at risk. And that's the problem, isn't it? Inmates are very vulnerable at the best of times. And listen, I've been around, I've seen big inmates, big male inmates, who think they're tough. They're vulnerable. You know, they are vulnerable because they've lost that support system outside. They're in prison and they're effectively, when you're in there, you're pretty much on your own, unless you're the Cray twins and you've got a gang around you. And they were a bunch of scumbags, weren't they? Seriously, they were preying on their own. That's what they were doing. I know people said, oh well, they only killed gangsters. They killed human beings. That's what they killed. That's what they did. They tortured human beings, cut them with knives, nailed them to billiard tables. Yeah, this is ridiculous stuff. They weren't heroes at all. They were maniacs, extorting money from the general population. And the people like Lord Boothby, who was associating with the Cray twins, they were using their positions in the House of Lords and their connections to actually ensure that Ronnie and Reggie were protected by the very people who should be protecting society. Have you seen what's happening with they're building a lot of new prisons? I might have mentioned this before, but they're building, I think, 6 big 4,000 plus prisons, you know, to take 4,000 inmates at a time, 4-storey high, great big massive places. They're building another one in Lancashire near Garth Prison and Wymott Prison next door to them. So I suppose that the people in that area won't be too delighted, will they? Because it's an agricultural area, or it was. It's that side of Lancashire towards Southport, Ormskirk, that area. And so 4,000 inmates are being transferred. Where are these inmates coming from? Who are they? There'll be people that don't pay the fines for this ultra low emissions fines. You know, be getting £12.50 a day in a London. At certain places, I believe it's Newcastle, they're introducing fines of £50 a day for people who transgress against these invented regulations about driving certain cars into the areas around the cities. And we're not talking about within a mile of the city centre, we're talking about 5 miles, 10 miles out. In Lancashire, they're talking about introducing this ultra low emissions into the places like Wigan, which is perhaps 25 miles out of Manchester. So it's the greater Manchester area. And what are you going to do if you haven't got the money to pay the fine? Oh, we'll know. We'll give you a couple of months in jail. That's why they're building these jails. And the jails are not being used to protect the public from criminals. No. The jails are being used to make sure that the public, that's you and me, yeah, do what we're told. And to take money off us. That's basically where we're at. So if you don't like it, tell your local MP. I mean, what are they going to do about it? Nothing. Because the local MPs are now backing a bill. Not only do they get enhanced payments if they get voted out of office, you know, so they might get 2 or 3 years pay, plus they get a medal for serving as a politician. Yeah, I wonder what the medal of honour. A pair of big grabby hands reaching out, yeah, grabbing all we can while we're here, because that's what a lot of them do. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. Anyway, it's now that time of day. Thanks for all your comments, by the way, and for all the nice people who have given me a comment on my book on Amazon. It's called HMP Manchester Prison Officer. It's that time of day. Bob-de-bob-de-bob. Yep, he's running for the door now, trying to get out. He can't stand it. Bob-de-bob-de-bob. Well, I'm not going to sing, Bob. I'm going to recite a poem, one of my poems. Thanks for the nice comments on my other poem. I'm glad some people found it amusing. This is a comedy poem I'm going to read you now. So, Larry, you're perfectly safe. You can sit down with your goat. Yeah, cuddle up to Billy Goat Gruff. I'm going to read you a poem here. It's called Double Glazing Blues. It's mainly based in the 70s and 80s when People used to come round selling you double glazing. Everybody's got it now. I don't know what they're on to selling people now. They're selling some bullshit, won't they? I mean, this is going to save you a load of money if you get this double glazing. It's not going to do anything, is it? Nothing. Absolutely. Sweet Fanny Adams. You'd have to live to be as old as bloody Methuselah to see any benefit, and even then you wouldn't. Double Glazing Blues by John G. Sutton. I was sitting in my living room watching the telly, with my wife drinking tea, scratching the dog's belly, when a rat, tat tat, called me to the door. You can't seem to get peace anymore. I slipped back the catch. What did I see? A double glazing salesman staring in at me. "We are in your area," was his opening line. He wore a neat dark suit and a smile like slime. He was carrying a window, an elaborate affair, conducting a survey for God knows where. He could save me money. It was really amazing. All I had to do was buy his double glazing. He talked of the beauty of UPVC, said he had a special offer and it was just for me. I said I didn't want it. He was having none of that. Said he'd come back tomorrow. We could have a little chat. Now, I was sitting in my living room, stroking the cat, when that double glazing salesman returned for this chat. But the patron saint of peddlers left him to his fate, and there's a double glazing salesman hanging from my gate. There you go. Double Glazing Blues. I don't know if you've lived through it was like a swarm of them, weren't it? We've got some wonderful double glazing here, sir. You can't afford it. You're going to save thousands of pounds. It'll get out your bills. Here we are, folks. 30 years later, the electric bill's more than the mortgage. And then, of course, you've got the water rates. When I started paying rates, got like 40, nearly 50 years, yeah. The water rates are in the inside the ordinary council rates, weren't they? Yeah, not now. They're separate. £100 a month water rates. Why? Because the water companies are owned by the French. And the French don't like the Brits. I don't know if you've noticed that. Listen, no sooner did Russia declare war on the Ukraine, France surrendered. Did you know that? Anyway, here we go. Tales from the Jails, folks. Seriously hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, leave me a nice comment. If you haven't, leave me a comment adverse. I'm a happy guy. It'll help to improve this. Completely free service. Tales from the Jails, John G. Sutton. We'll meet again.